at Mrs. Page. She waited to see if I would add anything else, and when I didn't, she grinned. Not smiled, grinned, to draw back the lips and bare the teeth, as in a very wide smile. And the entire class burst into one huge giggling, laughing, falling down mass of kids. Forrest was doubled over. Star, my best friend, was laughing so hard tears came out of her eyes. By now, even Miss Page was laughing. Pride goeth before a fall. I was Sage, the one who shows wisdom, experience, judgment. Why were they laughing? Wise girl with words, my dad always called me. What had I said? I was beginning to turn red, the color of embarrassment. So we want to pause here and ask your kids, what is happening here? But after you pause, you will hopefully get from the kids that the class is laughing at Sage's definition. And ask them, how might you feel if you were Sage and you found out you were wrong in front of the whole class? Now these answers may differ because they're more personal. So one person might feel embarrassed and another might laugh too because they thought it was funny. It just depends how we react to situations. This also helps empathize with the main character. Finally, the room quieted. Mrs. Page opened up her dictionary and wrote on the chalkboard, miscellaneous, miscellaneous, adjective, 1, consisting of various kinds or qualities. 2, a collection of unrelated objects. My jaw dropped as I looked at the spelling. My eyes bulged as I read the definition. I didn't bother to tell anyone about my mom or the spaghetti spork and the grocery store. Humbled, aware of my shortcomings, modest, meek. I dragged back to my seat and wrote miscellaneous 5 times and defined it once. That's when I remembered I had even drawn a picture of the spaghetti box for extra credit. I was devastated, wasted, ravaged, ruined, destroyed, finished, brought to an end. They called me miscellaneous for the rest of the day. Sometimes a person couldn't even get the words out before bending over with laughter. The day took a week to end. When I got off the bus, I slumped home, devastated, ruined, finished. I told my mom the whole story, from the kitchen drawer to the grocery store to the vocabulary bee. Even my own mother laughed a little at the part about the drawing for extra credit, but at least she stopped fast and said, you know what there's gold in every mistake. Gold? A bright yellow precious metal of great value? Mistake? Something done, said, or thought in a wrong way? Impossible, I told her. Impossible. Not capable of happening. I couldn't believe I ever had to go back to school, but the next day when we went to the Science Museum, everyone forgot all about miscellaneous at the snake exhibit and the dinosaur bone lab. Then the guide said, the field of bone archaeology has been influenced by a wide and unusual array of miscellaneous discoveries around the world. The class burst out laughing, and the guide was pleased with herself for entertaining us so easily. And I knew, to apprehend with certainty, that my mistake was still alive and well, and nothing like gold. So you want to pause here and ask your kids, what do you think Sage's mom means when she says there's gold in every mistake? Now this is a more open-ended question, more open for interpretation, but we can generally gather that she's talking about how there are good things that come out of bad. Now, again, you want to pause and ask your child, is she talking about literal gold, as Sage said, a bright yellow precious metal of great value? Or is she talking about something else? And if she is talking about something else, what is gold a metaphor for? Now, this is also an open-ended question, but gold is actually supposed to be a metaphor in this sense for the good parts of life that happen in the bad. Now, having this part of the lesson open to kids is really beneficial if they know anything about similes and metaphors. And if not, that's okay. It's just introducing some material a little early. After school, I lay on my bed and stare at the wall. How could I have been so stupid? My mom came in and said it was time to work on my costume for the vocabulary parade. We had finished the cape for capable, but I still needed to make the lettering down the back. Mom, I said, I could only be a mistake this year. Mistake, as in M-I-S-S, capital letter, S-T-A-K-E. Suddenly, I I sat up. I looked at my mom, and she looked at me. I smiled, she smiled. Sweetheart, she said, let's take another look at that cake. So here we want to pause and ask your children, why do you think Sage and her mom smile at each other after saying she could only be a mistake this year? After you pause and talk it out, you might come. It took the most courage I've ever had to walk out on the stage as Miss Alaineus, queen of all miscellaneous things. But when Mr. Bell read my word and definition, everyone applauded and laughed wildly, in a manner lacking all restraint, and I grinned at my mom in the auditorium. Forrest came right after me. When he paled, his precipitation watering can hat rained on Mr. Bell's new suit, and the entire audience gasped, then cheered when Mr. Bell smiled in his soggy clothes. So here you want to pause and ask the children, how did Sage make the best of her mistake? And from this, you could probably conclude that Sage was able to turn this mistake she made into her vocabulary parade costume. To my astonishment, great shock and amazement, I won a gold trophy for the most original use of a word in the 10th annual vocabulary parade. So this time Mom was right. There was gold in this mistake. And next year, I think I'm going to be Mysterious, investigator of all things mysterious. The end. So to finish off this, we want to open it up for the kids and say, that was a great costume and really ingenuitive or really creative of Sage for coming up with this, or Sage and her mom. But for this open-ended question, feel free to ask your kid, if their class had a vocabulary parade, what word might they want to represent and how might they represent it? This is a cool kind of creative question that can get your kids thinking. One example, for instance, is you could make a tear/tear costume that shows tears, the things fall from your eyes when you're sad, and is torn using both of the homonyms, meaning they're spelled the same but sound different. So tear and tear are spelled the exact same way, but they have different meanings. So now that the story is over, do you believe there's gold in every mistake? Can you give some examples of a time in which you have found gold in a mistake of your own? So now that we've got through this wonderful book and worked on helping students comprehend the material, we can move on to the vocabulary instruction part. This is actually one of my favorite parts of a text talk lesson because it introduces new vocabulary in a way that students get to practice with it and kind of use it more. These are words